The morning light spilled softly across the empty room where dust floated like quiet ghosts in the air and the walls whispered of memories that no longer belonged to anyone. The diary lay on the table, its pages slightly torn, its cover faded as though time itself had been feeding on its silence, and inside it the words spoke of a girl who once lived and dreamed and vanished into the mist of her own secrets. Her name was not written clearly, the ink had bled into the paper like sorrow drowning itself, but her thoughts remained alive, each one trembling like a candle in a room where the wind forgot to stop. She wrote about the sound of the rain, how it fell like broken glass on the roof, and how the scent of wet earth made her heart ache for something she could not name. She wrote about the sea, the way it called her from miles away, its voice soft and endless like a promise she did not dare to trust. She spoke of people with faces she could no longer remember, only the warmth of their laughter remained somewhere in her chest. She said she used to walk barefoot through the garden, feeling the earth beneath her feet, as if the world was still kind, as if the sky would never forget her. She wrote that sometimes she felt invisible even to herself, like a shadow that had lost its body and wandered among mirrors that reflected nothing but fog. She said she used to stand by the window watching the twilight melt into darkness, and she wondered if someone somewhere could feel her fading. She wrote about her mother who never looked at her the same after that night, and her father who spoke in sighs that carried no words. She said she could still hear their voices through the thin walls when they thought she was asleep. She said she pretended to be because waking was heavier than dreams. She wrote that she had a secret place beyond the old bridge where the world felt lighter and where the river sang her name. She said she buried something. Wind carried the scent of autumn through the hollow corridors of the house where the diary was found, and it seemed as though every creak of the floorboard was a sigh from her ghost. Her name still unreadable, her story unfinished, yet her presence lingered like the aftertaste of a dream that refused to fade. The one who discovered the diary was a boy from the nearby village. He had come searching for lost things, though he did not know what exactly he hoped to find. Perhaps it was the whisper of the unknown or the pull of silence that led him there. He opened the first page and felt a strange warmth, as if the words themselves were breathing. The pages turned slowly as though time resisted his touch. He read her words one by one, each line wrapping around him like invisible threads, pulling him deeper into her world. He could see her through the ink, the girl who spoke to the rain, who danced with the shadows, who dreamed of vanishing. He imagined her walking by the river, her hair catching the light, her eyes searching for something that could not be named. He read about the bridge she mentioned and decided he would go there. Perhaps he thought she left something behind, something more than just words. When he reached the bridge, the sky was heavy with clouds and the water below shimmered with a strange kind of stillness. He stood there listening to the quiet, and it felt as if the air itself was waiting for her return. He found the spot where the earth seemed softer, where the grass grew in uneven patches. He knelt and touched the ground. His fingers brushed against something cold, a small metal locket half buried in the dirt. He opened it carefully. Inside was a faded picture of a girl, and behind it the words, "Find me before the wind forgets." He felt a chill crawl down his spine. He looked around, but there was no one, not even a bird in the distance, only the murmur of the river that seemed to be whispering her name. He carried the locket back to the house that once belonged to her. He placed it beside the diary, and for a moment the room felt alive again. The curtains moved without wind, the air thickened with the scent of rain. He thought he heard a faint hum like a song someone used to sing long ago. He turned the pages again, and there it was, her last entry, half written, her words trembling on the edge of vanishing. She wrote that she could feel the world closing in around her, that the silence had become too deep, too sharp. She said she had to go where no one could follow, that the bridge would be her gate, her escape, her promise. She said she was not running away, she was returning home, and that whoever found her words should not weep for her but listen to the river, for it carried her story. She said if the locket is ever opened again, she would wake for a moment in the wind, just long enough to remember her name, just long enough to be seen once more. The boy felt tears burn his eyes, though he did not know why. He had never met her, yet her sorrow felt like his own. He closed the diary gently as though afraid to disturb her sleep. The candlelight flickered and the shadows on the wall began to move softly, swaying as if something unseen was breathing in the room. He whispered her name, though he did not know it, and for a heartbeat the wind outside stopped. Everything fell silent, as if the world itself was listening. Night deepened around the old house, and the boy sat by the window with the diary in his hands. The moonlight spilled through the broken glass and drew pale shapes on the floor like forgotten memories returning to be seen once more. He opened the diary again, unable to resist its pulled, the words seemed to shimmer as if written not with ink but with breath. He began to read aloud softly, and as he did the wind stirred outside, whispering against the door. The sound of footsteps echoed faintly, though the house had been empty for years. He called out, but his voice was swallowed by silence. He looked down and the ink on the pages began to shift, curling like smoke, the words rearranging themselves, forming new lines that had never been there before. She wrote, "I am still here between the rain and the wind, between what is lost and what is remembered. I never left, I only learned how to fade." She said, "The bridge is not just wood and stone, it is the line between worlds, and I crossed it not with fear but with longing." She said she waited for someone to read her story, to bring her back not to life but to meaning. The boy felt his pulse quicken, his breath catching as though the air had turned to glass. He could feel her presence now, not as a shadow but as a warmth near his shoulder, like a sigh close to his ear. He whispered, "I found you," and in that instant the candle beside him flared to life. Though he had not lit it, the flame danced without sound, and in it he saw her reflection, faint, fragile, her eyes full of the same quiet sorrow that filled her words. She smiled softly and her lips moved, though no sound came. She reached toward him, her hand made of light and air, and before he could speak she touched the diary, and the pages glowed. For a brief moment he saw glimpses of her life, the laughter, the loneliness, the secret place by the bridge, the night she vanished, the stars above her, the river calling her name, the moment she let go and became part of the wind. Then it faded, all of it like mist dissolving in sunlight. He blinked and she was gone. The room was cold, the flame dimmed, and the diary lay closed as if it had never been opened. He picked up the locket again and it was warm, this time inside it the picture was clearer, her face now calm, her eyes like still water beneath morning light. He took the diary and the locket and went back to the bridge. The sky was pale with dawn and the river shimmered gold. He placed them gently on the stone and whispered, "May you rest where the wind remembers your name." The breeze rose softly, circling around him, and he heard her voice one last time, "Thank you." Then the air stilled, the world quieted, and the water flowed on, carrying the reflection of a girl who once vanished and was finally found in the memory of her own words. And when he walked away, the sun rose over the horizon, the house behind him empty but no longer hollow, for the silence had changed. It was no longer a void but a lullaby of peace, and the diary lay by the river, closed yet alive, whispering to the world that even those who vanish are never truly gone. They remain in the spaces between dreams, in the breaths of those who remember, and in the endless pages of time where their stories still write themselves without end.